welcome to Travel Talk. I'm Mary Pat Sullivan. I'm joined today by our editorial and thought leaders from throughout the travel industry. We're going to talk about global travel trends for 2023, and I'm really excited to have this conversation with our editorial teams. All right, so let's get this conversation started. Let's talk about destinations. What's hot for 23? So, Rebecca, let's start with you.
Okay, what isn't? I think is the right answer for that one, because this is the first year since the pandemic that almost all destinations are open and available at the beginning of the year, so people can really plan through the year. People are really eager and willing and ready to travel, especially like extended families. If you didn't go last year, now's the time to book. So then you're asking what destinations? Okay, so let's see. So I think first of all, we're just going to go back to Europe. So many tour companies are really revving up their tour operations in Greece. Cruising. Asia, which last year was not really available to Americans, is now open. So Japan.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about strong destinations, what's going to soar, you got to look at Mexico and the Caribbean. That's still going to remain top spot, especially for American travelers. It's going to be, Cancun is going to be super popular as always. Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico emerging as well too as a strong force in that sort of region. So I think you're going to see a lot of that still happen for sure. Yes, definitely Europe and then Asia's big comeback that we're all really excited about. But yeah, as far as destination soaring, those are the top for Americans.
And you talked about cruise, and I think River Cruise, this is going to be their first full season, really, their first full year, and Asia's opening up again. That's going to be a big market for River.
And how about the U.S. still, I think, still popular, and a lot of people who kind of discovered even their own backyard will have some lingering effects. Hawaii, I guess.
Hawaii out west.
I mean, from the West Coast, I think Japan is a huge destination. There's going to be in 23. Hawaii for sure, in terms of domestic destinations. And just to throw one out there, for an emerging destination, I think Egypt is going to be really big. It was really big before COVID, and we're seeing that come back again.
I've seen some Israel pick up too this year too.
Yeah.
You know what else is huge? Antarctica.
Expedition travel. It's just blown up.
Expedition cruising.
We could be here basically.
We could be here talking about everything's popular, like you said at the beginning. What's not?
It's really exciting. It's really exciting for travel to have so many options and so much enthusiasm at the beginning of the year.
And let's pivot a little. Let's talk about some of the other markets. Let's talk sports, because I think sports travel is so fascinating, and the U.S. market's kind of developing quite a bit now, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. I'll throw out a city that may not be a surprise to you guys, but Las Vegas is a great example of a city that in sports-related travel is actually emerging. So for years, if you were a sports fan, you could go to Las Vegas and bet on the game, but you couldn't actually attend any sporting events because it was taboo. None of the leagues wanted to do any events there because of the gambling issue. And then when the Supreme Court ruling came around and kind of opened up sports gambling across the country, all of a sudden the NHL put a team there, the NFL put a team there. This year, we're probably going to see Major League Baseball relocate the Oakland A's. They're already scouting, stadium sites along the Strip. And later in the year, in November, Formula One is coming to Las Vegas with a night race along the Strip. And you can already buy $1 million package at the Wynn that includes your tickets and your hotel. And so Formula One is a great example of an international sports organization that's coming to the U.S. They just started a race last year in Miami. They're going to Las Vegas this year. And it's the trend of quite a few international events coming to the U.S. We're on the cusp right now of the World Cup coming in 2026, the Olympics coming in 2028, the Rugby World Cup, which may not be popular here, but is the next most popular event in the world, coming to the U.S. in 31 and 33. So we're seeing this, and we're right on the verge of it. And Las Vegas, of all places, is going to be in the center of all of these things.
Well, your constituents sell a lot of Las Vegas, but sports travel is becoming a bigger part of the advisor community too. Well, let's talk corporate travel. We haven't talked about business travel. Can you pick destinations for that? How does that work for you, Beth?
It's kind of different, obviously, for business travel. We see travel in traditionally big cities. London, and I can judge this by kind of the price of travel, right? So London's very busy. New York is really getting more busy. We see businesses relocating, so big companies like Google, like big manufacturing and pharmaceutical companies, wherever those companies are located and where they are doing business right now, that is where the big business travel markets are. So when we see medicines being developed, where we see technologies being developed, that's where we track those business travel destinations, and we see a lot of compression in the market.
Yeah.
From a meetings point of view, it's an interesting year because there's been so much pent-up demand. There's so many meetings that were put on hold over the past couple of years and moved again, and now they're all coming back into the market. And so meeting planners who might have said, well, I want to take my meeting to, Tampa this year, they can't really narrow down a destination. They have to think very open-mindedly because it's very hard to find the dates and space that they want at the rates they want. So that's a big change in the meetings market. And we see giant destinations with the most meeting and event space like Orlando and Las Vegas, and even those are filling up so quickly that it does affect choices and negotiations. And the major cities like New York, Chicago, San Francisco, LA, that you might have wanted to bring a meeting to, the prices, the hotel rates have gotten so high, airline prices have gone up. So meeting planners might be finding that it's 30% more expensive now to take that same group to New York. And they have to start looking at other destinations or, revising their budgets accordingly. So it is a big shift.
And that's a subset of business travel as well, obviously, the meetings and events. And so as corporate travel managers and companies look at that opportunity to travel and the opportunity to create those events, how are they going to manage their budgets, and what destinations are going to be friendly to those budgets, and which brands are they going to go with in terms of their partners. And I think that is a big question right now. Who will be friendly in the destinations?
Yeah.
Where maybe it's a secondary city. Maybe those secondary cities are really going to come cruising up in the priority list.
You got to promote themselves a bit too, though, and hype up the leisure aspect of it, because so many of us can, digital nomads. You can work from wherever, you can get the remote stuff. So I think if they can hype that up too, I think that is certainly helpful.
And they are doing that. Convention and visitor bureaus, they are, really stressing the leisure aspect of their destination to meeting and event groups and corporate travelers.
Two of the key terms that we've been hearing in the past year have been bleisure and also just blended travel.
Yeah.
So not only are you traveling for business and then tacking on extra time for your, for your leisure vacation, but you're also traveling for vacation and then tacking on your work trip.
Right.
So I'm sure that trying to capture and manage a lot of that is very tough for corporate travel managers.
It is.
But it's so interesting the way that a lot of these destinations are changing their physical hotel plant to try to accommodate people who want a vacation but also work by the pool or find a place that's actually kind of more work related, and it's been really fascinating to see. And I'm sure that all of us have at one point just done it without even thinking about it, just traveling and then sneaking in a couple emails or something else.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, and doesn't this all tie into the topic of sustainability as well? Because certainly if someone is going to have that longer stay that's going to combine that work trip and the leisure experience, that's a more sustainable way to travel versus flying for the work trip, coming home, flying back. So we're certainly seeing a lot of talk around that related to startups that are trying to facilitate some of this, and just the whole distribution piece around both that combination of the business and the leisure, and then also the idea of visiting some of those more secondary markets, and trying to disperse some of the visitation and travel.
So interesting, because the whole leisure, it kind of combines all of our markets that we're looking at once, right? And it would make sense that there would be startups that would be looking at how do I capitalize on that. So we'll be following you there. All right, thank you for joining us. This has been Mary Pat Sullivan. I've been so grateful to have all of our editorial leaders joining us today to have this conversation. Join us again soon.